Gold Squid TV. Hey, instead of doing Monday Night Football right now, I'm going to do a little special because I'm watching pro wrestling right now. And I'm not the biggest WWE fan. But I got to call it like I see it. I want to call this segment the most underrated. So this is really specifically towards pro wrestlers. Now, the first episode of Underrated is right now. I'm talking about Sheamus. Sheamus is a 4-time World Heavyweight Champion in WWE. That's the biggest title. He's held the belt 4 times. He debuted in 2009 and ran to the whole roster. If you remember when he first came out, he used to beat up a lot of jobbers. He used to use the Razor's Edge, which he used to call the Celtic Cross back then. Before he started doing the bro kick. Whatever you may feel, because a lot of people don't really give Sheamus his credit, considering he's wrestling with the same neck injury that Stone Cold had to end his career with, and he has to do special therapy. You might want to check his channel out, by the way, if you're interested in ways to how to deal with spinal stenosis. But Sheamus, although he might not be the flashiest pro wrestler in the world, and sometimes he might seem boring to some, especially these newer fans that don't really appreciate what he brings to the table. Sheamus is a throwback, man. He's a throwback, and I swear, if he was in NWA pro wrestling back in the 1980s, he'd be the perfect face heel, turn in and turn out, from heel to face back then. Especially being a guy that he's from Ireland. His biggest moment to me really were when he beat John Cena for the belt in a tables match back in 2009. He wrestled Triple H at WrestleMania the next year. And then, he won the title. He cashed his Money in the Bank contract and beat Roman Reigns for the belt in Survivor Series in 2014-ish, if I'm not mistaken. It was 14 going into 15, or 15 going into 16. Might have been one of those 15 going into 16. I don't know. Don't quote me. He had the shirt Sheamus 515. Hilarious stuff. Personally, a personal favorite of mine, his original theme music was great. Vince will not let him put that theme music back or bring that theme music back. I think at this stage of his career, he could be a face at this point. He's been a heel on and off. He's been a heel. He had the tag team with Cesaro, which was great to me because once it started off as them being enemies and they had the best as ever. They did the whole going against each other, and eventually, they became a tag team for a few years. And it ran its course. The thing he's doing right now with Drew McIntyre, they both came up to the ranks together. And behind the scenes, they are really good friends. Put the gimmick aside and all the storylines aside, they are really good friends. That said, Sheamus has worked very hard to get to where he's at. He's had setbacks. He's had injuries. He's had some title runs that weren't necessarily box office. He's also a 3-time United States champion as well. And a lot of fans, like I said, don't really appreciate him. When he's a heel, he can play a heel to the fullest. He could be the meanest heel. When he's a face, he could give you what you need. He might not be the greatest face, but he could give you what you need. And his matches are pretty damn good to me, personally. So, this first episode of Underrated, most underrated, will go to Sheamus. So, where do you rank Sheamus all time in the most underrated professional wrestlers in the last 30 years? Leave your comments down below. Go Squad TV. Back in a little bit.